Hello.
Hello. How are you this morning? Busy?
Oh yeah, class the a lot. And tomorrow we early class. Okay, you 9 to 10 you have the class.
Yeah, 9 to 10 we have class.
You have class
Yeah,
or 10 to no Chinese time.
9
Chinese
to
time
10 is 8 to,
9.
yeah. Uh, oh, so you want to switch it to the early time?
Yeah. I want to switch
Okay.
the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, finish the 1 hour class. Ba. Use
Yeah.
you.
So you
Yeah.
want that. Okay. Yeah, I can switch that. No problem. Uh,
Uh, finish the list. I finish the list. Yeah, I think the early leader. Yeah, tomorrow I morning no have class, so I early leader. When finish the list, I come to other side. I have some things.
no problem. Perfect. Okay. Oh, here we go. Oh, why did this mess up? Okay. So, the class we have today, because you're often asking me about this, is taxes. There's
Tax.
a new taxes in the new year. I don't know for what, but let's find out what's going on for taxes in 2024. Um, so HST and GST. Uh, ooh, I forget which one's which, but one of them is for the federal government, which is like 7%. And then the other one is for the province government, and that changes depending on the province. I believe GST means government. I forget. But these are sales tax for when you buy stuff. But let's find out what's going on. What is the new taxes?
New tax measures and changes to exciting ones will begin the upswing Canadians in 2024. What does perpetrates set the vehicles on the most in the individuals and likely to be minimal unlessly high income earners.
Earners. Yeah. Basically saying there's new taxes coming up, or maybe not new taxes, but we're changing the taxes. Um, however, uh, oh no, there is both. Sorry, there is new taxes and changes to the old one. So both are happening. However, they're saying that they're supposed to be pretty small if you are like low income, or uh, it might even be zero for low income. But for middle income, it might be a little bit of more taxes. But if you're high income, you're probably going to pay a lot more. That's kind of what they're talking about.
GST HST is presents the elimination of the debut success for some short then the linears new alternate, alternative
Alternative.
minimum tax rates and change to Canada person plan the CPP
Yeah.
contributions among the new measures come in 2024.
So in the past, short-term rentals, think of Airbnb, or like I have an extra room and I let you rent it for like a weekend or blah blah blah, like a hotel kind of, but like a personal one, right? Uh, those used to be exempt from retail taxes. You wouldn't pay sales tax on that, which is again depending on your province, 7 to 13%. So that's a high tax rate. Uh, but you didn't have to pay it because it was considered like helping the country. However, the government's saying that if you have a short-term rental, like at Airbnb, you're probably already rich because you have a building. Most Canadians don't have houses, or they're renting, they're not buying. And so if that's the case, if you have a short-term rental, you probably have more money, so you probably can pay more taxes. So they're trying to get more taxes from the rich people. And this is it's saying eliminate short-term rentals. So they're trying to like not get rid of short-term rentals, but get rid of the tax benefit where you could reduce your taxes from this. Yeah.
Elimination of the some short-term rental detections was the announced in the field inimical statement FES and kickers or in Jan.
Jan 1st, January, right? So it's already happening, right? January 1st, new taxes already. This is just saying that, again, in the past, you could, if you were renting, you get a benefit because you're helping people, right? You own the house, you're helping housing for Canada. So Canada would give you a tax benefit from that. But now they're like, we don't want short-term rentals for whatever reason. So we're going to change the taxes on that so that it makes you want to change your idea. Maybe Canada wants you to sell the house. Maybe Canada wants you to do long-term rentals. Maybe Canada wants you to turn it into a business, blah, 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 but not a short-term rental. So that's what Canada's getting rid of the benefit for. Again, January 1st, so it's already started.
When the federal government announced this change, it justified the move by saying that in Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver in 2022, there were almost 19,000 homes being operated as short-term rentals that could be used for the permanent housing.
Okay, so that is the reason. The reason Canada is trying to like make short-term rentals not so profitable, not making more money, is two reasons. Number one, more taxes, so the government gets more money. That's number one. But number two, remember, Canada has a huge housing problem, right? Where housing is super expensive. And one of the reasons for that is there's 19,000 homes doing nothing. They're like short-term rentals, like only weekends people rent it, right? Not like a long-term rental house. So Canada is trying to turn those short-term rentals into long-term rentals or permanent housing, like someone could buy the house, so that that could reduce the cost of housing in Canada. So that's probably the reason why they're doing that. And by the way, that's only for 3 cities. Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver is 19,000. In the whole country, that number could go up to maybe 50,000 or more. So again, it could be quite a bit of houses helping.
To encourage owners to return those units to the long term rental market, some municipalities
Municipalities would be like the small towns, right?
impacted bans on the short term retails, while others applied restrictions on how they operate the dispatch the bans and restrictions some owner connect to rent out his property.
Yep.
Properties.
Properties. um, um, basically saying that some cities, municipalities, right, cities, towns, whatever, are thinking these short-term rentals are hurting housing. Again, the rent in some places or the houses in some places are like $1 million for a tiny little house, or the rent could be like $3,000 for a one-bedroom apartment. It's getting too crazy for housing, and one way we could fix this is supply, right? If we get rid of these short-term ones and then put them on the market for long-term, that should bring the supply up, meaning the price goes down. However, even though there's bans and restrictions, the owners of these buildings are still renting them because they're just like, yeah, I just won't tell the government. So yeah, they're still trying to get away with it.
In this, the
Circumstance.
circumstance where the performance of the municipality has the benefit the retails in the certain areas here. Yes, they are banned, but if you connect to those activities, they fit their government said you must pay tax on them. Said Amir Abdullah, apart within the XY perfect.
Yeah. Basically, it's not a real ban. They're not like banning, you're never allowed to do it, because the federal government's not enforcing it, right? The federal government's just like, oh, you said it's banned? Well, as long as you pay me taxes, I won't actually have it banned. So essentially, the federal government's like, give me my bribe or taxes, and you can continue your business, which that's what the government always does, right? As long as you're paying them with taxes, the federal government doesn't care what you do. Canada's debt after COVID has been super high, so it's been causing some problems with the economy because most of our money is going to the debt, not to like hospitals and stuff. So that's not good. Hamilton, they're trying to ban it. Remember, Hamilton's about an hour or 2 hours from Toronto. Probably hour and a half from Toronto, and it starts next month, so February. And BC, which would be Vancouver, is also looking at some new rules, being like, how do we get this? Because again, the biggest problem with Canada is the housing. So we're trying to do anything the government can do, whether it is banning people from doing this or forcing people to do it, long-term housing or whatever. We're trying anything to get the prices down for housing.
The federal government is the new eliminating that tax break the dealing operators of the short term retails any income tax deduction for the expenses if they operate in the premises for the municipalities that have the benefit short term the retails.
So income tax is the highest percentage in Canada. Your income is taxed the most. Everything else is taxed a bit less, right? Like your house taxes, your gas taxes, blah, blah, blah. All those other small taxes, they're like 1%, 2%, blah, blah, blah. But for your income tax, that's the crazy one that can get up to, if you're rich, it could be like 35%. If you're poor, I believe it's like 10%. 8%. It's pretty low if you are poor, but it can get really high if you're rich. And again, if you're having a short-term rental, like a house to rent to people, you probably rich. So this is a huge thing where people would buy these short-term rentals. The income from that was not considered income tax. So instead of having to pay 35% taxes on it, they would only pay like 10% taxes on it. So they would save like 15%, making more money for rich people. But now the government's like, that is stupid. We're going to put that up to the maximum tax again. So good luck. You're not getting that help anymore.
Parliament says that still allow short-term rentals the operators that are not the complete with local regulations, and those will also be denied the
deduction. So even if this city or province allows you to have this short-term rental and counts it as not income tax, the government will still not give that to you if you are breaking any other rules. So are you breaking any other rules of like how long people can stay there, cleaning rules, blah, 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 like any hotel rules that you are breaking, we're going to make sure you pay that extra tax. So let's say you are perfect for 11 months of the year. There's no problems with your short-term rental, but the last month you do something bad, that whole 12 years now becomes income tax, which means it went from like 5% to 10% tax all the way up to like 35% tax, which would be a lot of money the government would want from you. So be careful if you have these houses.
This is just the federal government lying on another designated tool that exciting the former work Abdullah said.
Yeah, that's just his name. Disincentive. Incentive means something that I want to happen. So I will give you a benefit if you do this thing, right? For example, I want you to have an electric car, not a gas car. The government will pay for half the electric car. But if you buy the gas car, we're going to put the taxes up. So it makes me want to buy the electric car, right? That's an incentive. So disincentive is trying to make you not do it. So if we're going to put the taxes higher on short-term rentals, I don't want to do it. I want to do a long-term rental because I still get those tax benefits. So that's what they mean by disincentive. The government's trying to make it harder for you to do this kind of business. Try to do a different type of business that helps Canada. GST is the federal government tax for sales tax. So they're trying to figure out what to do with that.
In FES, the federal government announced it was taking the GST SST of the professional service read by the psycho other
therapists
and calling their post.
So Canada is starting to treat therapists as kind of like doctors or important thing for the country. So remember how Canada gives you free healthcare. The reason it's free is because Canada thinks it's a good thing. Same with food. If you're buying like poor people food, like bread or like eggs, very basic food, there's no taxes on that food because that's taxing the poor people that have to have that. So basically what the government is saying is we're going to take away the tax on these services so that if you really need this help because you are depressed or have mental health problems, you don't have to pay extra money for that. So that's a good tax, less taxes for that one.
The government said was making the change to help ensure that Canadians can afford the care they need.
Yep. If you need that again for your mental health because you're struggling, you thinking about killing yourself, blah blah blah, something like that, it having to because psychotherapists and therapists are already expensive. You might be paying $100 an hour, and the taxes would be 13%. So it wouldn't be $100; it'd be $113 for 1 hour, and times that by how many times a week, how many hours a year. That could be thousands and thousands of dollars just in the taxes, not the money already for the therapist. So Canada's like, how about we get rid of those taxes so that you can still afford it? I know it's still expensive, but it should be easier to afford it. Yeah.
Including the parliamentary budget officer, the meter will cost 64 million in lost revenue over a 5-year period.
Yeah. So for the next 5 years, Canada will lose $65 million for this less taxes. So that's kind of why they're doing it, is that's really not that expensive for a country, right? Remember, our countries are spending billions. And if you're a big country like China or America, you're spending trillions of dollars, right? So losing 64 million for a country like Canada, that's not a big deal, especially if we're going to get more taxes from those housing rentals, blah, 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 right?
If you really look at what their goal is they're trying to use the income tax system to the income rich people to the socially define say oh
Beneficial.
beneficial beneficial things said the Dale Ryszakowski,
Sure. Yeah.
master of the including co-director at the university to the Waterloo.
Waterloo is about an hour from Toronto. It's a pretty nice city. If you ever get a chance after you finish in Regina or in Saskatchewan, Waterloo is really nice city.
Really nice city. Okay.
It's close to Toronto, so like if you need to do anything big like in Toronto, it's great for that. But it's still small enough city that it's not that crazy for traffic. It's not that crazy for crime or anything. Like it's a really nice city, but yeah, and good for schools. Yeah, this is basically saying that the government is trying to use the tax system to make people do things that are good for not just themselves, but for the country, socially beneficial things. So if I have to pay more taxes for the short-term rentals, well, what if I do long-term rentals? Well, that helps the country. Well, if I don't have to pay taxes on my mental health things, oh, that helps me, which also helps other people. So that's how the government's trying to do taxes this year, or they're trying to change the taxes, is to make it so that people are doing good things for other people, not just good things for myself.
Logo Nikkei? No. Said
Yeah,
that
whatever.
making the steps more after April tends to drive up the demand for those the subsets that could be a problem in Canada, where the demand for the mental health the steps outstrips supply.
Yes. So this guy is a little bit worried because if you put the cost down, right? Again, remember, GST plus HST could be up to like 15%. And therapists cost like minimum $100 an hour. So every time you go there for 1 hour, you have to pay $15 in taxes. And if that's gone, you're just paying the $100 an hour, that's a lot cheaper. However, what if there's only like 100 therapists in an area, but now because it's cheaper, there's 10,000 customers now. We might not have it's kind of the same problem with doctors. We might not have enough doctors. We could make healthcare cheaper, but if we don't have enough doctors or enough medicine, we can't give it to everyone, right? There's kind of like a supply problem, right? We don't have enough. So that's what this person is scared about for therapists, where he's like, I don't know if we have enough therapists. It's okay to do this, but like we need to get more therapists as well.
It's great to use a tax system to make it more affordable, but I think you still have to deal with the supply and the demand, he said.
So think of it like this way. It's when you reduce the taxes of something, it's cheaper, so more people buy it. That's not a problem at all for something like eggs or bread, because we can make like a ton of bread and we have tons of eggs. It's not a huge deal because we have the supply, right? But with something specialized like therapists, it's really hard to have that supply of people to work those jobs. So that's the kind of problem we need to fix. Yeah. This is just saying the demand has gone up. It's gone up way more time. People are waiting for stuff. This is causing a bigger need in just Black youths, young Black people in Canada. And after the 2 years of pandemic, the mental health system in Canada is horrible. We're not doing very good after COVID. Yeah. Oh, I think we switch.